Guys. I will start again to introduce ourselves. My name is Aisha, and also with my partner Dom, we make these materials about lattice that we got from Chimpas School 2025. Well, a disclaimer, because I'm not an expert yet, also Dom too. So if we do a mistake while writing or maybe deliver the presentations, uh, feel free to tell us. Okay. Uh, about today, we have two sessions actually. For the first sessions, we will learn or we will discuss about the materials, about lattice, and also about lattice in cryptography. And for the in the afternoons, we have an exercise. Okay, you can skip this. Okay, for the first topic, before we know about the definitions of lattice, we should know the definition of discrete subgroup. So in the slide, we have two definitions. The first definitions and the second definitions is same actually, but in different dimensional. For the first definitions, it's for n equal to 1 dimensions. So let me read it. uh, Let G is not equal to 0 be a subgroup of R. And we can call G is a discrete subgroup if there is alpha in R positive, so that alpha is infimum of G intersection to R positive. So this definitions means we can make, I think, the neighborhood, something like that, with around the point in G in conditions there is no other point than it point self. For example, if I have this, we have a G, G is equal to Z, for example, and I have the point X, this like this, X1, X0, and X2. So I can make the neighborhood with some distance. For example, uh, from this to this is alpha. So in this neighborhood, there is just x1 itself without x0 and x2. So that's the definitions of discrete subgroup. But for definition 2, it's the same also, but for general dimensions, for n dimension. So if we take the dimension is n equal to 2, so there is must be a ball, something like that. And each point, we can make them like this. We can make a neighborhood between this point x0, x1, and x2 without other point in this ball. For example, for x0, it's just x0 in the ball, and also for x1, it just itself, and also x2 in the ball also just x2 self. Well, okay, this is the definition of discrete subgroup. Mm. Oh, should we clean it? Okay, this is the example of discrete subgroup. Maybe I should erase this first. So this is the example. For number 1, if we choose G is the set of two Z, is the example of discrete subgroup of R, because we can find alpha is equal to 2 in R positive, such that alpha is equal to infimum G intersection 2 R positive. So like this, between 0 and -2, -4, this is 2 and also 4. We can make the neighborhood between them like this. For example, 0, we can choose 2 because the distance between 0 and -2, and also the distance between 0 and 2 is 2. So we can make the neighborhood with the distance of this. So that's why G is equal to discrete, is the example of discrete subgroup. And for number 2, this is the example of the set that is not discrete subgroup of R. Rational set is a subgroup of R actually, but because it is dense in R, so there is no minimum positive distance between two rational numbers. So we cannot make the neighborhood between two rational number. For example, like this, I have Q1 over P1, Q2 over P2. I cannot make in this space of Q1 over P2, Q2 over P2, there is always a rational number between them. So it's very dense, and we cannot make the neighborhood. That's why rational set is not a discrete subgroup of R. Okay, for number 3, we can choose Z to the end is a discrete subgroup of R to the end, because there is alpha is equal to 1, so such that for all x in Z to the end, we can find the distance. We can find the intersection between Z and intersection with this set is equal to the point of x itself. So it seems like when we study of analysis, like finding the open ball, something like that. Okay, for discrete subgroup, did you have any questions? Because it's a we talk about distance. Distance always positive, I think. So if we choose the distance is negative, I think it's not really
If it's
correct.
by the notion of distance, the distance have
Yeah,
to be positive. Yeah.
yeah,
But on definition one, actually, in the definition itself, we don't say anything about distance, right? Only the infimum.
yeah.
Good,
This
Yes.
is
good.
because
Yeah.
this of right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definition one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I said I already said that the definition 1 and definition 2 actually the same definitions, but the case for definition 1 is the dimensional n is equal to 1. So that's why we say alpha is infimum. But you can use definition 2 for dimension n is equal to 1. So we will know the reason why alpha we should choose from R positive. It's just the case. Okay. Mbak Resita,
Yes.
I already answered your questions.
I'm still processing, but you can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next definitions is about Euclidean vector space. This is also very important definitions before we know about lattice. So Euclidean vector space E is a finite dimensional vector space over the real number R with an inner product. that the inner product must satisfy this property. You can see on the slide. The first one is about the symmetry and also linearity and definite positive. Okay, maybe I can skip this. Okay, we start the definitions of lattice, the core of our topic today. So, same with discrete subgroup, there is two definitions. The first definition of lattice. A lattice is a discrete subgroup of an Euclidean vector space of rank n. So, lattice is, first, it is a subgroup in Euclidean vector space. So you should remain these things. And for the second definitions, let E be the Euclidean vector space, and the set L subset E is a lattice if there is a basis B1, B2 until Bn of E over R, so that we can make the linear combination of L is equal to Z B1 plus Z B2 and until Z Bn. And for note, both of definition are equivalent. You can check on Hofstein in the book of Hofstein in 2008. And if you want the proof about the equivalent of both of this definition, you can contact me later after these sessions. I will give you, but in Indonesian, in Indonesian's proof. Okay, we can see the example of lattice. Given V1 is equal to 4 and 2, and also V2 minus 3 and 4, which are linearly independent vectors in Z to the Z square. And the lattice L generated by V1 and V2 is, we can use the definitions. L is equal to Z1 times V1 plus Z2 times V2 and equal to, okay, we can got this. And we have this. Oh, sorry. And we have this. And we can write this set to be this form. I think it's really basic for us to make from this form to this form. Okay. Then the matrix, this matrix, we call it B, matrix B, is the representation, the matrix of representations of basis of lattice from this. So 4 and 2, this is V1 and this is V2. Okay, this is the example of lattice. Maybe we can move to the next. Okay, wait, let me erase it first. And then this is how the lattice, the visualizations of lattice in the example 7. This. So you can see the lattice is the points, the element of lattice. It's seems like a dot or the points that align parallel. So there, you can see this. It's arranged in parallel, something like this, and also from this. Okay, maybe we can move. Okay, and after we know about the lattice, there is also the covolume of lattice, which definition is lattice with let LB is a lattice with the basis B. The covolume of lattice is the absolute value of determinant B, which B is the basis. So if you can see on the pictures, the covolume is the volume or the area of this parallelogram. So this is the basis of the lattice. So this is the area co-volume that the basis, the volume of basis. Okay. So if we can find this volume, also we can find the others volume, something like that. Okay, let's move to the example. Okay, we can use the previous example. Given the lattice with the basis B, like the previous example, this, and we know that the basis is this, the matrix 4, 2, -3, and 4. Furthermore, we can find the covolume of lattice by computing determinant of B. So we can find the determinant of this matrix. And don't forget about the absolutes. This is equal to 21, and the result of covolume of lattice is 21. So it's very easy to find. Okay, next. The length of shortest vector of lattice. So this is also very useful to know how to find the length of shortest vector of lattice, because in cryptography, lattice-based cryptography, this properties is really useful. Okay, let's read the definition first. Let L be the lattice with basis V1, V2 until Vn, and the shortest vector of lattice is the infimum of the infimum of norm of each vector in lattice except 0. Okay, for the example, we use also the same example, the same lattice like the previous one. This lattice, the length of the shortest vector of lattice is 2, the square root of 5. So maybe all of you can check manually. You can choose Z1 and Z2 with the smallest value, smallest one, smallest value. Maybe you can choose Z1 is equal to 0, and Z2 is equal to 1, and you will substitute the value of Z1 and Z2 to the lattice. And after that, you can find the norm, for example, like this. You can find the norm is 9, 6 is equal to 25, and is equal to 5, and so on until you find the shortest one of the length of shortest vector of lattice is 2 equal to square root of 5. So it's kind of pain to find the shortest vector, but the smallest value is not really much to find. Maybe you can check also. This is equal to 1, Z2 is equal to 0, Z1 is equal to -1, and -1 is also same with this. Maybe 2, Z2 is equal to 0, something like that. Okay, maybe we can go next to the density of spare. Yes, to the definition of density of the corresponding spare packing. So a spare packing of a lattice is arrangement of non-overlapping equal size pairs in space such as that the center of the pairs lie at the point of lattice. It's same like finding the neighborhoods. So we from the lattice, we have the point of lattice like this, for example. So we want to know the proportion, how much the space to make a ball without each of them is overlapping, something like this. This is a lot of this and also this. We want to know the size of each sphere in this lattice space. So to find the density, we can use this formula. dl is equal to Cn times, this is the shortest vector, the length of shortest vector, sorry. The length of shortest vector over 2 to the power of n, which n is the dimension, and this is the covolume, over the covolume. And this is for the detail, which the upside is a volume of sphere in unit cell, and for the below sides is the fundamental cell or unit cell of the lattice. Okay, maybe we can move to the example. Okay, let's move. Oh, for the before we go to the example, this is the detail about C, the value of C. So for dimensions n is equal to 1, we can use C1 is equal to 2, and for n is equal to 2, the dimension, we can use P, because if the dimension is equal to 2, it's 2D. It's a 2D. So it's the form is like a ball. And for not a ball, I mean the circle. And for n is equal to 3-dimensional sphere, we can choose C3 is equal to 4.P over 3. So the form is like this, maybe like a ball, like this. Like this. And for n-dimensional, this is the general formula. Cn is equal to P to the n over 2 over gamma n over 2 plus 1. Okay, let's move on. This is the example how to find the density of corresponding stacking using the lattice. Oh, let me check. This is wait a minute. I will write the formula of gamma. Wait.
Hello?
Yeah. Wait
They
a
ask
minute.
what is the gamma?
Yeah.
Gamma is
I want,
the gamma function using
yeah, gamma functions. Wait a minute. I will write it.
the general lie of factorial.
Yeah, that's right, Dom. Oh my God. Why is the pen is so loud? Wait. Gamma. Okay, this one. It's like n over 2 factorial. Right, Dom? This is the formula, right? Okay, maybe you can
Okay, it's
write
actually a
it.
gamma
But
function. Yeah, it's actually a gamma function, and you can find some formulas for the gamma function.
Mm,
That's like factorial, and for the like that the n over 2 factorial.
yeah, is something like that. Okay, who's okay? Mbak, did I already answer your questions for gamma? Okay, we can move on. Let's erase it. Okay. Sorry. Okay, this is the example with the same lattice. So on the previous example, we already know the co-volume of the lattice is equal to 21. And also for the length of shortest vector is 2 square root of 5. And we can just put each of this value to the formula of the density. Density is equal to, because it's R2 in R2, so the N is 2, and we use the C2. C2 is equal to P. So we write P times 2 square root of 5 over 2 to the 2, and we divide it by 21, or the covolume of the lattice. And we can have the density is 0.747 and etc. Okay. Okay. Before I start the dual lattice, is there any questions for covolume for the length? Oh, really, Pak Hadi? Let me check the covolume. The covolume. Yes. Okay. 16 minus plus 3 over 6. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Pak Hadi. Okay, guys. So this covolume is 22. This is also 22. I will fix the PPT after these sessions. This is 22. Thank you, Pak Hadi. And we can change this. This with also 22. So we can find the result is, wait, let me check it. Maybe all of you can try to find the spare packing of corresponding, the density of corresponding spare packing. 22 is equal to, okay, 2 times root of 5 divided by 2 to the power of 2, okay, times 3.14 and divided by 22. Oh, the result is between 0.7136 and etc. Okay. Maybe there is another questions, guys, before we start for dual lattice. there is no question, we can move to the dual lattice. Hey. Okay. This is the definition of dual lattice. Let L be a lattice with basis V1, V2 until Vn. Then the dual lattice of L is, we can denote it by L star, is equal to vector Y in Rn that satisfy the inner product of X and Y in Z for all X in a lattice. Okay, we can move to the example. Oh, before the example, this is also because we talk about lattice, the dual lattice. So there must be also the go volume and also the length of shortest vector and also the density. So this is the formula of the covolumes. This is equal to 1 over determinant B, because this is the basis of dual lattice L, and the determinant of this, the determinant of B star, is equal to 1 over determinant B. So we got this for the covolume. And also for the length of the shortest vector, it's also the same like the previous one. And after we arrange the properties of the basis and also to find the infimum, we can got the formula of L, the length of the shortest vector of dual lattice L, is equal to 1 over determinant B times, this is the shortest vector, the length of shortest vector of the original lattice. And for the density, it's same. Okay, let's move to the example. Okay, we will find the dual lattice from the lattice this. Okay, check this. And as a definition, dual lattice L is the set of the vector let is y1 and y2 in R2 that satisfy the inner product yeah, of this vector. This is X, for example, X element L. And this is Y element R2. So we can find the inner product. We got this. So the dual lattice is the vector in R2 that satisfy this. Okay, that's how to find the dual lattice of the original lattice. And this is for finding the properties, the other properties like covolume, the length of the shortest vector, and the density. Okay, we can use the value of covolume and also the length of shortest vector and also the density from the original lattice in the previous example. We can we just substitute it in the formula of covolume of dual lattice is equal to 1 over covolume of lattice. So we got 1 over 22. And for the length of shortest vector of dual lattice, just input 1 over covolume, this is 22, times 2 square root of 5. This is the maybe the answer is not correct because there's a mistake for the covolume. Let me check it first. 2 times square root of 5 and divided by 22. Okay, this is 0.23 2, 7, and etc. And for the density of spare packing, it's the same with the original one. Okay, is there any questions for dual lattice?
There is a question in the chat column.
Okay,
See what about the
okay.
basis matrix.
Oh, about the V formula. This is, oh, sorry. Maybe
Yeah.
it's typo.
Typo.
Yeah, B transpose inverse. Yes. So you transpose the matrix B and then you inverse it. Okay. Well, is there any questions? Because in exercise we will try a lot of a lot of these things. Okay, maybe we can move. Okay. Okay. We move from the lattice to the lattice-based cryptography. So the motivation is from 2017 to 2024, NIST competition is the NIST is doing the competitions, yeah, to develop the new standard of post-quantum cryptography. So this is a very supercomputer that has the power to compute with a fast, efficient, and also big memory. So this is very supercomputer, and we want to make the system of cryptography that resists with the attack from this computer. Post-quantum computer, I think it's not cryptography. And then from the competitions, there is 69 accepted submissions for round one. For the first is signatures with 5 lattice base. And also the second is public key encryption or key encapsulation mechanisms is 21 using lattice base. So from this, we can see that lattice base are very serious candidates. And in the 2022, the first result, 3/4 of new standards are also using lattice base. So we wonder gitu kan, why the lattice base is a very serious candidate. We will explain it on the next slide. And also maybe there's a more update because this is 2022. There's also maybe in the 2024, 2023. I'm not checked it yet. So maybe if you interest to study about lattice-based cryptography, you can check the NIST for the newest report. So why lattice-based cryptography? The first one, this is the 3 big reasons. Maybe there is a lot of reasons, but this is the big 3 of reasons. For the first, the lattice-based cryptography likely to resist attack from quantum computer because lattice-based problems is categorized as the hard problem to solve. And the second one, the strong security guarantee or from well understood hard problem on lattice is same like the first one. And the third is efficiency. So this is the key. Efficiency. This is secure. And this is secure. And this is 1 and 2 is secure. And this is efficiency. Okay. Let read the problem of lattice first. So before we talk about the lattice-based cryptography, we should know what are the problems of lattice. So the problem of lattice is 2 there is two kind of the problem of lattice. The first one is a short factor problem. Short factor problem or problem or SVP. And the second one is closest factor problem or GVP. The first definition is about SVP. So we have lattice. This is the element of lattice. Now, we want to find each element of this lattice that has the shortest vector. Okay, this is the formal definitions. Maybe we can move. Yep, sorry. Okay. The next one is about the definition of the closest vector problem. We want to find the closest vector. For example, in the definitions, we given lattice L with basis B, and also given the vector T. This vector can choose freely. Choose free. You can choose any vector T. And for the closest vector problem, we want to determine the vector in the lattice L that has the shortest distance with the vector T. This is the formal definitions. Okay, let's move. Oh, there is a questions on the chat. Okay, thank you, Pak Hadi, for the reference. After the session, I also will give you the reference from our speakers. So just wait. Okay, this is the example. Wait. Oh, why just this example? Wait a minute, guys. I think the slides, it's not clearly yet because, wait. Why the example of the closest vector is not really, wait. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, the connections. Okay, let me share the screen first. Lattice ring sessions. Okay, this is the example for the lattice problems. Given the lattice L with the basis 4 and 2, and for the factor 2 is equal to -3 and 4. So the shortest vector of lattice are 4 and 2, and also -4 and 2. How to find it? Actually, I count it manually. I just choose each of the element in the lattice, and I find and I compute each of norm, and I found these two vector as the shortest vector of the lattice. And then for the second, the
Is
closest
it
vector of
supposed to be -4, -2?
Oh yeah, sorry. That's right. This -2. There's a lot of typo. Let me note it. Okay, for the number 2, the closest vector of lattice to the vector t, I choose this vector, is equal to 2 and 3. I got the closest vector is 4 and 2 also. And for this closest vector, we can finding it using Babel algorithm or compute manually for every vector in lattice L, and also vector t, we can find the distance between it. Okay, for the Babel algorithm, I will tell you how to do that. So this, the first things we should do is we should check the basis of the lattice is reasonably orthogonal or not. The reasonably orthogonal is the value of this is close to 0. Close to 0. So we can put factor 1, V1 and V2 over V2 and V1. This is, I think, sorry, this is the norm. Okay. Yes. And we can we got the result is approx to -0.1, and this is close to 0 too. So we can say that the basis of the lattice is reasonably orthogonal. And the second step, write down this thing. T is equal to A1 vector times 2 vector 1 plus A2 times 2 vector V2, and until AN VN. For A1 till AN is in the R. But because we in R2, so there is just a two fact, and also there is just two bases, we can write it as 2.3. This is the factor T. And also we can input our basis 4 and 2, and this is -3 and 4. While A1 and A2 is something coefficients. Oh, I use AB and A2, yeah. Maybe this is A2. Can use this A2 too. And we have for A minus A2, A1 minus 3A2 is equal to 2, and 2A1 plus 4A2 is equal to 3. This is A1, this is A1. And after we got this, we can compute some BI that is the what we said it in bahasa dibulatkan for each of A1 and A2. And if we use the eliminations, we can got the A1 is equal to something and A2 is equal to something. But we approx it to the closest value of integer. So I got A1 is 1.1. Oh, this is the result. And we approx it. I think it's around to 0. Yeah. Actually, for the reasonably orthogonal, I still confused about it. But when I search about the example that 0.5, it's also said as a reasonably orthogonal. Maybe I will find the other reference to answer these questions. Okay, Pak Hadi, maybe you can, maybe you have any idea about the reasonably orthogonals? Okay, just move. Okay, we continue about the value of A2 is equal to 0.2, and we approx it to the 0. And after we have B1, this is B1, and this is B2, we compute it in this. So I'm sorry, we use this is B1 and this is Bn. So we change the value of A1, A2 with the B1 and B2. This is, and then we can have the factor is equal to 4.2. So this is the closest factor of the factor T. This is also the element of lattice. Okay. Is there any questions for finding the closest factor?
I want to ask about the actually
Yeah.
same with your question. Does
Yeah.
your preference say anything about what's the limit of this reasonably orthogonal thing? Because 0.5, considering
Yeah.
that cost is only vary from -1 to 1, it's not that close, isn't it?
0 to 0, right?
It's not that close lah for cost gitu. So does the reference say anything about the actual limit for this reasonably orthogonal? And the second question is, then what do we do if the basis is not reasonably orthogonal? Thank you.
It's not. Reasonably orthogonal. So about the first questions, actually I also not really sure about 0.5 is reasonably orthogonal or not. But if I search for any random example from Google's, this is also categorized as a reasonably orthogonal, but I'm not really know about the other reference. Maybe I will search it. And if the basis of the lattice is not reasonably orthogonal, the other way we can do to find the closest factor is finding it manually. So you can put each of element. You can choose each of element of L, and you list the distance between that element with the factor T. But just choose the shortest one, the shortest factor one, and then find the distance. I think that's for me. Maybe Saiful can help me to answer the questions, because he also the expert for the lattice.
Okay, actually I'm not the expert, but as far as I know, uh reasonably orthogonal, it must to be to nearest to zero. So uh uh ya semakin dekat dengan nol itu semakin reasonably orthogonal, because we want to it like orthogonal, but uh because we work on integer, so we can get the orthogonal one. We just get the like orthogonal, but not so orthogonal. Because if the factor is orthogonal, we get the cos theta is becomes zero, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe that's for the orthogonal, the reasonably orthogonal. Actually, for the cryptography purposes, for the public key, it it is the good the good way is use the use the bad basis. There is the not orthogonal at all. But
Oh.
uh, for the uh, for the private, we choose the good basis. That is the reasonably orthogonal. Why? Because use if we use the reasonably orthogonal, we can make the fundamental domain, and it becomes mm, the fundamental domain is becomes more uh more mm, more efficient, I think, like that.
Okay.
Maybe I can use a note.
Okay. Thank you, Saiful, for the answer.
I
Okay.
can annotate the presentation. Where
Oh,
anotasi di mana ya?
anotasi. Okay.
Nggak ada ya anotasi ya. Ya, oke. I use Indonesia. I'm sorry. Intinya kalau
Yeah.
misalnya kita pakai yang reasonably orthogonal, itu lebih baik gitu, karena fundamental domain yang terbentuk ya kayak tadi betul-betul kayak parallelogram yang enak dilihat, yang kayak bentuknya lebih kotak-kotak. Sedangkan kalau yang gak reasonably orthogonal ya katakan basisnya dia panjang, ataupun dia apa cos theta-nya mendekati satu atau semacamnya kayak gitu, itu dia malah jadinya paralelogramnya tuh kayak manjang gitu loh. Kebayang gak ya?
Oh, so what about the orthogonal one? So
Kalau
jika dia
ortogonal malah kita
orthogonal,
ngebentuknya kayak kotak-kotak, betul-betul
ya
kotak gitu.
terlalu easy ya berarti ya nanti ya buat di itu sistemnya, ya nggak
Ah,
sih?
ah. Jadi
Hmm.
sebetulnya kalau misalnya uh, for the public key, it's better to use the not orthogonal at all. But for the private key, it is use the uh, reasonably orthogonal.
Okay.
And we have some algorithm to transform for the any basis to the
Orthogonal.
reasonably orthogonal basis.
Okay. Maybe you can say the algorithm. I will write it. So the
LLL,
oh yeah,
Lenstra-Lenstra-Lover.
yeah. I remember it. So you can use this to convert, yeah. Convert any basis become
Become,
reasonably,
yeah,
yeah.
actually becomes a good basis.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Reasonably orthogonal. This is algorithm. So as the Saiful said, maybe the meaning of reasonably orthogonal is we find the basis that not equal to 0, but the range is it's close to 0, something like that. So the cos theta, the value of cos theta is like this, maybe 0 and 1, maybe something like it. In this interval. Okay. Okay, there's any questions? Okay, maybe we can continue to the next slide. Okay, the short integer solutions. So we already know that lattice have two basic problem, shortest vector and the closest vector. Then for the advanced one, we have shortest integer solutions. It's also the lattice problem, but in advance. Okay, let's read the definitions. Given A in Z key to the n times m, this is the matrix, with m is greater than equal to n is the dimensions of the matrix of the vector A, AI, okay, with the column of matrix A, this is, so n is the dimension of each vector in the column of matrix A. And for a certain value of beta in R positive that satisfy beta less than key, we know the definition that the short integer solution or SIS is we should finding the vector x in z to the power of m such that a times x is equal to 0 in z key to the power of n, and the norm must be less than or equal to beta. And note, this is the parameter for the SIS, and the parameter of beta is really important to make the SIS is a hard problem. Okay, there's a questions in the chat. Z key is finite field. It's a finite field. Okay, Pak Hadi, did I answer your questions? Okay. We can move to the next slide. So our goal in SIS, we can find X that satisfy this one and satisfy this. Okay, next. Okay, before we know the example of SIS problem, I want to invite all of you to know about the reductions. So the reduction is we want to show that some problem at least as hard as the other problem. For example, I have a problem A and I have a problem B. I know that problem A is hard, and I don't know about the problem B. So with the reductions, we can know that problem B is also a hard or not. How to prove it? We can find like this. We can use this problem is a difficult, maybe the properties or the definitions. And then from this problem, from the properties of the problem, we can show that the problem of B is also difficult. Or in the other way, you can use problem A. You can solve the problem A. Problem A can be solved. Then the problem B also can be solved. You can choose to use this or this. Okay, maybe it will be clear if we have the example. And then I will give you the definition of SVP gamma or SIVP. This is also the advance of SVP problem. The advance problem of SVP. So in the SVP, we just have the condition that the norm of the factor is less than or equal to beta. But in this problem, the factor is much less than and equal to gamma point. This is DL. It's mean the length of the shortest vector of lattice. And maybe some of you wonder what is gamma. Gamma is a factor. I forget how to say this in English. Wait. This is just a random number in Z that not really big and also not really small. So we choose freely. Choose freely. Okay, this is the definition of SIVP. And after that, there is a conjecture. I got the conjecture is from our speaker, from Adeline. She said there is no polynomial of time algorithm that solve SVP gamma or SIVP with gamma is equal to poly n. It's polynomial of time, I think. So from this conjecture, we know that this SVP is a hard problem. This is the guarantee of that SVP is a hard problem. So what's the reason we should know about the SIVP? Because we want to show that SIS is a hard problem. So how to prove the hardness of SIS? We can use the reductions of SVP that we already know is a hard problem. Okay. To make this work, the reduction builds SIS from lattice problem in such a way that the SIS inherits the hardness of SIP. That's what I said before. But this only works when the parameter like gamma, chi, m, and beta are in the correct relationship. So there is a reduction, but we should maintain this parameter so that the reduction exists. So in this explanations, the gamma is much greater than 2 beta square root of n. Q is greater than 2 beta the square root of n, and m times log k equal to polynomial of n. So according to the conjecture that said that SVP is not a polynomial of time or is hard to solve from the previous slide. And there is also the reduction between SVP to SIS with the parameter this. So that can be guarantee that SIS is also hard as the SVP gamma. So this is how to prove the hardness of SIS. Then can move to the example of the SIS. So I have the parameter n is equal to 2, m is equal to 3. I choose key is equal to 3 and the beta is 2.8. And for the matrix, I choose A, matrix A with the element like this. And we can find the factor x 1.1.1 is the solution of SIS. This is the solution. First, we can check if we compute AX is equal to 0. And also, you can compute the norm of X is equal to 1.7, 3, and 2. And its norm is less than beta, when the beta is equal to 2.8. But if I change the beta, I reduce the value of beta is equal to 1.7, so it's smaller than before, then the solution is invisible, because when we compute the norm is equal to 1.7 and etc., it's bigger than beta, that the beta is equal to 1.7. So that's why from the first definition of SIS problem, I said that the beta is really important parameter. So you should choose beta carefully, so you can make sure that the solution of SIS is exists and not really much. So what about if I choose the beta 10, or maybe the beta is equal to 100? There is maybe a lot of solutions, right? So how to choose the beta is really important. You can choose small but not really small, but not really big, something like that. Okay. We can move to the other problem, the advanced problem of lattice. There is learning with error, or LWA. The definition, definition 19. This is the definition of the LWA distributions. So for a factor S called secret factor, the LWA distributions denote this AS chi is the sampling by randomly selecting of a vector A and an error A from a chi distribution, with the output sample being a pair of A point B. So this is a two tuple with that satisfy SA plus E is equal to modulo Q. Oh, I'm sorry. This is like this. A B is equal to S point A plus E modulo Q. Okay, so the LWA distribution is just a sampling, the pair of A point B, which B is equal to S, the inner product of S and A, vector A, plus error, some error, modulo Q. Okay. So this is the chi distribution. We often use for the LWA is using the discrete Gaussian on Z. This is the definitions. I'm not really good at the probabilistic. So it guarantee that it give a short factor with high probability if X in this distribution, in discrete Gaussian distribution, then we can have the norm of X is less than and equal to square root of M times N. This is the important thing that we will use to find the hardness of LWA. Okay, let's move. Oh, about LWA, because the previous one we said about the LWA distributions, and in LWA itself, there is two problems. The first problem is search problem, and the second one is decision problems. What is that? And we will know on the next slide. So the first problem is search problem. So we given an arbitrary sample AI and BI that in LWA distributions, the sample of LWA distributions, and our goal is find the secret factor. For example, you can see on the slide, the picture on the slide. This is the matrix. This is A1, A2, and this is A3. And this is the secret factor. And this is the noise distributions. So maybe the noise is just 0 and 1. And this is B. So the search problem, we just know the matrix A and also B. We don't know the S, we don't know S, and also we don't know E. So we just search that B is A S plus A, sum A is approximate to A. We don't write the A. Approx to B. A1 approx to B1. A2 times S is approx to B2. And until AN. S approx to BN. So if we see it without knowing the S and the error, we just can solve to find the S just using the Gauss, right? It's like to find the solution of the original, the basic SPL. But in this search problem, there is an error. So the value of B is approx. Not really, how to say that. In bahasa itu nggak terlalu, nilainya itu nggak tepat sama dengan B1, B2, atau BN. Okay, I will give you an example later. So this is the search problem. You want to search this factor S. And for the decision problem, this, so we have an arbitrary AIBI in Z key. This is Z in Z key to the n times Z key. And our goals is we want to know, we should distinguish between the sample AIBI is a sample of LWA distribution or it just a uniformly random. So we have this and we have this. We want to know whether we can make A and B like this, or A and B is just like this. Okay, that's the decision problem of LWA. So that's why the decision problems is more hard than the search problem. Okay, about the hardness, so we should guarantee the LWA, all the LWA problem is hard like the SIS. So we can also use the reductions, and we can choose in this slide, we already know, we can use the reduction from decision problem of LWA to the SIS problem, because SIS is already guaranteed that it is a hard problem. But for the proof, I will tell you on the exercise 7. So the exercise 7, we will know that the decision LWA is a hard problem. And for the search LWA, we can use the reductions from the decision problem LWA to show that the search problem LWA is hard. So from the exercise 7, later I will explain to you. This is a hard problem. We got it as a hard problem. A hard problem. And using the reductions to the search problem, we can know that the search problem is also hard. You can see this. Consider that if it's easy to distinguish this sample as an LWA distribution, then we can find the factor S, right? If we cannot find, we don't know that AI and BI is LWA or not, so how can we find the S? So that's why there is a reductions between the decision problem and also the search problem. Because if the decision problem hard to solve, then to find the search problem, to find the factor S, it's also hard to find factor S. So this is the reductions. Because we have the reduction, so we have the guarantee that the search problem of LWA is also a hard problem. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, this is our last topic about the encryption using lattice-based cryptography, specifically using LWA. So first is we have the key generated with the sample is S, this is the secret, and A, matrix A, and also A, this is the error. So in this encryption SIM, the secret key is S, the factor S, and for the public key is the two tuple A, matrix A, and B, which B is equal to AS plus E modulo key. And then for the encryptions, we need M. This is the message. The message is 0 and 1, so it will be binary number. So if you have maybe a message like hello, like this, hello, you should convert it into the number, the integer, the order of this the order of these words. Oh, maybe the easiest one is like this, AA. I convert to its order like 0, 0. And I convert it again to the binary for each this. So there is like 0, 0, blah, 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 something like that. Okay. And also we have the public key from the key generated. And also we choose R, factor R, in the set of 0 and 1 to the power of M. For the encryption functions, the formula is C is equal to U and V. So this is our ciphertext. This is our ciphertext. Oh, this is our ciphertext. And U, for U, we can find it with R transpose times A plus A error. And for the V, we can find it with R transpose times B plus error plus Q per 2 times N. Oh, this is not, there is not this. So this is the encryption functions for LWA, lattice-based cryptography LWA. This. Okay. Then we can move to the next is the decryption functions. So if we want to decrypt the message, we have a cheaper is equal to UNV, and also we have the secret key is equal to factor S. So we can compute, this is the decryption function. And we can know that if we use these functions, we will have the result is Q/2 times M. M is our message. So if DC is equal to less than Q/2, then the message is 0. Besides, if the DC is greater than or equal Q/2, then the message is 1, because we know that our message is in a binary number. Okay, how to encrypt it? I will show you the example.
So please wait. Yeah. Because of internet connection.
Sorry, I was kicked off again. Wait a minute. I will give you an example of encryption SIM. How to encrypt and decrypt with LWA. Okay. Wait a minute. Where is the file? Okay, I will use my paper. Oh, this is the abstract one. Sorry. Okay, I will give you an example for this. Okay, but I will tell you just for one element or for one message. So for the example, I have the message. The message is A1. This is our message. Is equal to 205. I have the message. This is our message. And then we convert it to binary number with the bit is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We convert it to binary number. Is binary. Binary. And we should encrypt the binary, this A1, with the LWA encryptions. Okay, let's move. This is for the A1. The A1 is M is equal to 205. So this is our message. Each bit of A1, each bit of the binary number from our message, we got a pairs of ciphertext. So the ciphertext, it will be a lot, this, because we should encrypt each bit of the binary. So for A11, bit 1 of A1, if we use the encryption SIMs, the encryption function from the slide, we will have the cheaper is 51 and 144. And also for the second bit, we encrypt it with the functions the previous slides. We have U2 and V2 is equal to 51 and 144. And we continue it until the last bit of the binary. And after that, after we encrypt each bit of binary, we can get the pairs of ciphertext. Maybe in this case, I represent it as a matrix. With the column with the entry is U1 V1, U2 V2, U3 V3, U4 V4, and etc. Something like this. So this is the ciphertext, but it's also the ciphertext. This is the ciphertext. But the ciphertext just for one just for one, not 1 bit. This is for 8 bit. Okay. And after we have this, we have the ciphertext. We want to decrypt it. Okay, we can see. Oh. Okay, this is the other digit. Okay. This is our ciphertext from A1. This is the ciphertext. Ciphertext for our message is equal to 105. We have this. And next, we decrypt each of the entry of C1 like this using the decryption function. DC is equal to V minus UV. I forget. Oh, wait. Oh my God. I think I should finding another place for the afternoon sessions because the connection is really bad in here. Okay, wait. I will share it again. Okay, document. It is. Okay. For this, we use the decryption function is DC is equal to V minus U times S. And each bit of each entry of C1, the ciphertext of M is equal to 205. We have this value. We will have this the result of the decryption functions. And then after this, we can convert it into the binary. The binary is this D1. So the result of decryption functions of all of the entry, and we convert it into the binary. And after we have the binary, we convert it again to the integer. So we have the original message is equal to 205. So I think that's all for the example how to use the encryption and decryption functions of LWA. I think it's a little bit difficult to compute it manually. Maybe you can use the programs like Python or maybe another programs. It's okay because it will be so pain to find or to compute the cheaper text and also the original message. Okay, I will back to the slide. Okay, this is the solution. Sorry, that's the spoiler. Okay, I think that's all for the materials about lattice and also the lattice-based cryptography. I'm sorry if there is a lot of mistakes while I'm doing the presentations. There's a lot of typo too, and maybe some the questions I cannot answer it yet now, but you can ask me again later. It's okay. Outside from the sessions, and we will continue it again on the afternoon, and maybe I will change the place so I will find a place that the connection is good. Yeah. Yes. I will give it. Saiful, what about the slide? We collect it to the Mr. Uha or how?
I'm sorry.
About the slide, about the sharing session slide.
Oh, okay. About the slide, you can share it in the column chat, the chat column.
No, but there is a lot of typo. I should fix it first before to share to the other.
I think it's up to you, but if okay, if you share with a lot of typo, I think. I mean that the participant can use it for learn.
Okay. Sure. I will give you after the exercise sessions. So I will have a time to maybe fix some of the typo.
Okay. So you can share at the exercise session
Yeah.
via the chat
Okay.
column.
Yeah. Okay. I will. Yeah. Dom.
With for the exercises, then I need like she will need to discuss with you because like I think you change something, right?
Yeah.
And I want to discuss.
Oh, I thought you want to present the present. You will give the presentation for exercise.
Yeah.
Okay. I will give the exercise on the column chat. So all of you can try to solve it. All of the materials is already on the slides before, so maybe you can use it. That is exercise.
Yeah, I think you can share the slides.
Okay, the slide, but the slide
okay.
is already
If
the solution of the exercise. That's why we cannot share it yet right now.
Okay.
But I will let the participant to maybe have the screenshot for this. Oh, sorry.
Or you can hide the solution.
Okay. Dom, can you edit? You can edit for the slide. I know.
You can, oh.
This way.